good afternoon, everyone. This is Unchain Your Brain, and I am Ryan Bowling. I want to get right into the topic at hand, and that is about a music video that was produced about a week ago. Some of you already know what I'm about to say, entitled Vax. Vax that thing up. And when I actually listened to this video, I was just appalled because I actually found out about the video from a YouTuber that I subscribe to by the name of Jericho Green. This guy's awesome. I like his YouTube videos. I watch him all the time. And when I was listening to the video, I thought it was a joke too. And he mentioned in his video that he thought it was a joke, and I thought it was a joke too. But it's a literal video called "Vax That Thing Up." Now, what's interesting and what's crazy about this video is that it looks professional, it looks well organized, it looks like a music video, a hip hop music video that you would see on any music station or any music streaming channel. It looks professionally made. You got all these girls on there twerking, and you got these guys with gold chains and cars and doing their things and just, singing these crazy lyrics about getting vaccinated. Now, what's crazy to me about this, and I was talking to one of my coworkers, my job, and what's crazy about this whole video is I began to have this discussion with him, and this is what I want to discuss with us here on my YouTube channel is why such emphasis on trying to get blacks to get vaccinated. Let's assume we can make the assumption correctly that a lot of blacks don't want to get vaccinated because of past histories of vaccinations and past histories of experiments that were done on blacks that was not favorable to blacks. We all know about the situation many years ago, decades ago, where the experiment, I forget the name of the Negro Project or the syphilis, I think it was called the Negro Project. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment. But blacks were injected with syphilis in order to see how it affects them or whatever the case may be. Blacks were injected with this and it was not favorable. You got to think about that, by the way. I'm gonna take a sidebar here. Think about that. Why would you inject a group of people with syphilis? Syphilis is a venereal disease. Now, why would you inject them with that just to see what's going to happen, whatever the motive may have been? To me, it's obvious that you did so to prevent them from having children. That's what I believe it is, but that's what I'm going to talk about later on in this video. I'm going to mention that later on in this video. But anyway, the question is, why such emphasis on trying to get blacks vaccinated, assuming that a lot of blacks don't want to be vaccinated? If you watch that video, a lot of money seems to be apparently put in that video. It looks professional. I mean, these rappers look professional. In fact, what I was told was that the rapper, I think BLK or something like that, I don't remember. He was because I don't watch. I mean, I was never a hip hop person. I was never into hip hop or any of that, so I don't know. You guys can make a comment in the comment section and include me in on the history of this person, whatever. But what I was told was that he was a one-hit or two-hit wonder from the 90s, that he made a video with the same title, but of course it didn't have vax. It was back that thing up. And evidently it seems clear that whoever paid him a substantial amount of money to make this video about getting vaccinated. It's very insulting to the minds of a lot of black people who are thinking outside the box, that you would make a music video, spend probably hundreds of thousands of dollars or maybe millions of dollars to produce this professional looking video in order to get us vaccinated. Why so much emphasis on getting blacks vaccinated? It's not like, do you see any music videos of any white bands going around saying, like Bon Jovi going around saying, "Get vaccinated"? You don't see Van Halen saying, "Dun, dun, 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 go ahead and get vaccinated. Dun, 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 dun. You don't see any of that. You don't see any other ethnic group or the powers that be spending tons of money on any other ethnic group to get them vaccinated. It's the black people. And you got to ask yourself a question. Why? Think about this. We only make up, the last I checked, 13% of the population. 13% of the population. Now, there's over 300 million people in America. Some say 360 million, but I'm going to round it off at 300 million. Let's just put it 300 million. Blacks only make up 13% of that. So that's like 40 to 42 million. So 40 to 42 million out of 300 million is a very small number of people. And yet there's such an emphasis by the Biden administration and by progressive liberal, but mainly the Biden administration, to get blacks vaccinated. It seems unbelievable. Why would you be spending so much time on this small group of people to get them vaccinated? Another thing you got to look at too is that this video, this music video, seems to be geared towards a particular demographic niche within the black ethnic group. And that particular demographic niche, I believe, is more or less, and this is no affront to anyone, but more or less uneducated blacks or blacks that are really into the hip hop community, that really love hip hop and so forth. It seems to be geared towards that, but it also seems to suggest that the producers of this video and the powers that be, the progressive liberal Democrats and politicians and the leaders and the powers that be, it seems to me that they are in an all roundabout way placing a limitation on the way blacks are in America. Oh, blacks really like this hip hop music, so let's make a hip hop video that appeals to the black group. You know what's interesting to add to this? When I said this to one of my coworkers, I said, several months ago, a few months ago, another video was another music video was created. It was created in cartoon form, and it was sung by one of the former members of Run DMC, 80s rap group Run DMC, and I can't remember his name, but it was sung by him, but it was in cartoon form, and it was real generic looking. I mean, he's like, come on, man. If you're going to try to get me, if you're trying to convince me to be vaccinated, you certainly are not going to convince me to be vaccinated with a cartoon that looks like a generic Saturday morning's cartoon from the 70s. That's not going to happen. So I was telling him, I was like, you know what I think? I think they made that cartoon video. It didn't work. So they said, you know what? We're going to spend some real money on a professional looking video, music video. And I guarantee you, them black people are going to be dumb enough to go for it. Now, I guarantee you, and I was telling my coworkers, I guarantee you, there's going to be groups of black people, unfortunately, and it's not putting down anyone, but this is the state of mind that a lot of black people have today. There's going to be certain groups of black people that will be like, yeah, man, that was dope. Yeah, I like that. Back that thing up. You want to back that thing. Just listen to the lyrics. I attempted to listen to this video. It's like a minute and 40 seconds or something like that. But oh, it was, I made it. I listened to it. The first time I listened to it, I listened to like maybe like, I don't know, 45 seconds of it. And I couldn't stomach it. But I heard a voice tell me, how you going to tell somebody about this video if you ain't listened to it all the way? So I went on to listen to it all the way. I wanted to barf. I mean, I literally wanted to barf at this video. I mean, it's like, oh my goodness, man, come on. But it's a very brilliant, if you really look at it, a very brilliant strategy of trying to motivate a certain demographic niche group to do what they want them to do. Now, going back to why such an emphasis on trying to get this niche group or get blacks in general to get vaccinated, since a lot of them obviously are not getting vaccinated. In fact, I was watching a couple of other videos, YouTubers, where the young lady stated that some of the attempts to get blacks vaccinated is unbelievable. She stated that some they're giving away free weed, free food, free money, but when she mentioned free weed or marijuana, I'm like, man, I didn't look in the description section to see what sources that came from necessarily, because I didn't subscribe to her channel. I may later on, but assuming that this is true, that they're giving away free weed, once again, a limited perspective of the mindset of black people. Well, black people like to smoke weed, so we're going to give them free weed. I don't like to smoke weed. I hated it when I was coming. I don't smoke it. I don't smoke weed. Now, I'm a born-again, spirit-filled Christian. I don't fool with it, and all that ain't happening. But years ago, when I was in my late teens and early 20s, when I had a friend, or an associate for that matter, introduced me to that nonsense, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get on. I couldn't smoke it for nothing. I tried it. It didn't work. I was hacking and coughing, halfway dying. I couldn't. I mean, I said that. So it didn't work for me. But if this is true that, hey, we're going to give you these guys free weed and free donuts and free hamburgers and free this, then it shows a limited perspective of the mindset of the 13% of blacks, or the 40 million blacks in America. Really? That's how you see us? But that's how the Democrats see you. If you vote Democrat, that's how the Republicans don't see you like that. You can say what you want to say about Republicans. Yes, this is a political video. You can say what you want to say about the Republicans, but one thing that they do not do, they do not talk condescendingly and view blacks in a condescending way. They don't talk about blacks or talk to blacks in a condescending way. They talk to us like men and women who have a brain. Democrats don't do that. They always try to appeal to us in some way, something that they think we like. I'm not a dumb black person, so that's why I can't get with it. But anyway, going back to that, why such emphasis on trying to get blacks vaccinated? Now, I'm going to give you my theory, my opinion now. This is my theory. This is my opinion, or theory, what you want to call it. It's just my opinion, okay? But it's my opinion based on studies. Now, some of you guys may or may not have heard of a woman by the name of Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger was a eugenist from the early 1920s and 1930s who practiced the science of eugenics. And the science of eugenics is basically this idea that what they call selective breeding. Eugenics or selective breeding. And so basically what selective breeding is when you get a certain group of people to engage in the act of sexual intercourse with another group of people of the same gene pool or the same DNA or gene pool in order to produce a certain type of person. So if you want to produce, according to eugenics, the science of eugenics, if you want to produce smart people, you would have smart people breed smart people by having sex and breeding smart people. If you want to breed dumb people, you would have dumb people. This is according to their philosophy. You have dumb people breeding with other dumb people, which in turn will get what? Produce dumb people. This is the philosophy of the science of eugenics. Margaret Sanger was, according to some historians, of the negative ideology of eugenics, who believe that certain races and certain ethnic groups were inferior to their elevated ideology of white people. She was a extreme white racist. Now, I'm not of all this talk about, white people being racist. I'm not for all of that mess, but I'm just showing you the history of the history and the mindset of Margaret Sanger. So she believed that certain ethnic groups and races were inferior to the white race, and that one of the ways, if not the only way, to get rid of them was create a system that would diminish their numbers. She wrote a book, I think in the 1930s, called The Pivot of Civilization. And in that book, she called blacks and other minority groups weeds. She called us weeds. And you know what weeds are. Weeds grows around things and strangle things. They're not purposeful. They're no good. You go and do your garden, you cut the weeds out, man. You get rid of the weeds. Weeds are damaging. That's what she calls all ethnic groups that weren't white, that she considered inferior. So she was the first person to create Planned Parenthood. She was the founder of Planned Parenthood, and according to some historians, she placed most of the Planned Parenthood abortion clinics in minority neighborhoods, blacks, Hispanics, in minority neighborhoods. The purpose behind that was to decrease the number of blacks and minorities because she believed, through abortion, because she believed they were inferior groups. And that if you keep allowing these inferior groups of people to produce their inferior kind, you would destroy America. So she placed most of the abortion clinics in minority neighborhoods. And according to historians, she convinced black clergymen to convince their followers that abortion was a good thing and that you're supporting something good and that it is not about committing genocide or killing off the black race, even though it was about committing genocide and killing off the black race, which is interesting to me because it shows you the level of discernment that these black clergymen had. They have no level of discernment, no level of seeing, wait a minute, hold it. What is does the Bible support this? What kind of Holy Spirit are they yielding to? Does the Bible support this? What's going on here? None of these clergymen obviously discerned what this woman was saying. Now, you may be saying, well, what's that got to do with this vaccination? Some of you may have already figured it out. My theory is that it goes back to depopulation to decrease the numbers of unfavorable races and unfavorable ethnic groups. If, according to Margaret Sanger, that blacks are an unfavorable ethnic group, and according to some research about dealing with vaccines and the many different chemicals, dangerous chemicals that are inside these vaccines, could it be that they're trying to diminish our numbers by injecting us with these vaccines, injecting us with these vaccines, and later on down the line, we start getting sick and start dying off at early ages. Think about the average time that most people in America die off is usually in the 70s. You may get some in the 80s and some even in the 90s, but for the most part, it's usually in the 70s. Why is that? Why everybody dying off in the 70s? Where's all this cancer coming from? Where's all this autism coming from and neurological brain damage coming from? Where's all this stuff coming from? That's another story, and I'm going to talk about that maybe in another video. But that's my theory. That's my theory. That's my belief. That's my opinion of why these politicians are trying to push black people to get vaccinated. Because the assumption could be, okay, other ethnic groups are getting vaccinated. Maybe they're getting vaccinated. Maybe they're getting vaccinated. But that can't be true, though. That can't be totally true because whites make up 60% of the population in America. Blacks only 13%. But I don't see any videos being made towards whites to try to get them to get the vaccine because probably most of them say, I'm not getting it. Some of them probably, I'm pretty sure most of them say, I'm not getting it. But the progressives, which by the way, Margaret Sanger was a progressive, and that's for another video. I'm gonna talk about that maybe perhaps in another video of what a progressive is. She was a progressive, and she supported the Democratic Party. She also supported the KKK and was in some of the KKK rallies. But anyway, so the whites make up 60% of the population, but you don't see any videos or any attempts to try to get any music videos, any attempts to try to get them vaccinated. It's only with black people. You don't see any attempts from what I know of. I could be wrong now. If you have any information on it, please put it in your comment in the comment section, and I'll look it up. It's all towards blacks. Free food, free money, free weed. Music videos. Come on, man. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous at the attempts. But this suggests that these progressive liberals see blacks as a bunch of dumb idiots. That's basically what these guys are going to go for anything that we put out there. So let's create this $1 million video and let's have these women twerking and guys, back that thing up. You better back that thing up. Ding, 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 ding. I mean, you listen to it, man. You get it. I was just, me and my coworker were just tripping. And when I showed it to him, he was like, oh, man, he thought it was some kind of gimmick or something. He thought it was some kind of gimmick because he's like, oh man, that sound bite. I think that's what he said, a sound bite. He said, oh, that's a sound bite. excuse me, he said that's a sound bite. That's not really on there. But when he listened to it and he saw one of the artists that was singing take his hand and do like this to his arm at a vaccine, he's like, oh man, they're talking about getting vaccinated. Unbelievable. Unbelievable at the extent that these progressive liberal politicians will do to get people to conform. But you all need to watch the video. You all need to take the time to look at it. I'm pretty sure you probably already have so far. Take the time to look at it. But and summing this up, I just want to say we got to be smarter than that. We have to read books and think outside the box and not be so easily persuaded and easily convinced. We can't just go by what we feel. We got to go by our mind. God gave us a brain, and we have to use our brain. We have to use our brain. And when I say us, I mean us in general. This is not pinpointing anyone in particular, but we have to use our brain. We have to be smarter than what we portray ourselves to be. And that's not just towards black. That's not just black. That's everyone. Whites, blacks, Hispanics. God created us in His image, and God is an intelligent being, and He doesn't create unintelligent beings. And when we act in an unintelligent way, what we're basically saying, we're basically in an indirect way mocking God. We're saying when we act in an unintelligent, we just act based off emotion. We're basically saying, God, you crazy, you dumb. We mocking God because we're saying, well, I don't have a brain. I'm not able to think. I'm not able to comprehend. I'm not able to analyze and think critically about these issues. So we have to, in my summation of this, we have to be willing to think outside the box. We have to be willing to do more reading, more research of history to find out what's really going on so that we won't be so easily persuaded and easily tricked. God bless you all. If you like this video, press the like button. If you have any comments, please make your comments below. And please subscribe to this channel. Thank you and have a great day.